Hey guys, welcome to the Questioning Authority podcast. I have a pretty cool guest on here with me, James Taylor, and we're going to just get into. I'm going to question his authority. Basically, is what we're going to do here. So I'm gonna open up the questions straight up with telling you what my definition of an authority figure is. So, an authority figure is somebody who knows a little bit more about something than you might. And so, hopefully, you'll learn something from this. And another way to say authority, in my definition, is superpowers. So, I'm going to ask you straight up, James, what is a little known superpower that you have that maybe a lot of people don't know about you?
In all reality, if I'm just thinking about the first thing that's going to come to my mind is it's kind of one and two tied at the top. One is my ability to not give a shit what other people think. When I say not give a shit, like, I mean,
Love it.
there's all kinds of, like, if you had to go back and change anything in your life, would you? No, I'd do it all the same. That's bullshit. You would absolutely change some stuff. But as far as, man, when I make a decision to do something, and more often than not, I like to test the water with both feet. And one thing that anyone who has attempted any kind of feat, whether it be personal or business or otherwise, you're going to come across detractors. And it seems like it's really easy for people to listen to other people and take the opinions, educated or otherwise, of others, and some who they might not even really care about, and let that affect how they run their life, how they accomplish goals or don't accomplish goals. So it's, like I said, it's kind of one and two. My superpower is my ability to not care what others think, but at the same time, to really make a decision and stick to it. I find that surprisingly hard to come by, at least in the entrepreneurial space, which is a weird thing to say. Like, oh, I thought entrepreneurs are, they're going to go out, they're going to get after it. Well, they will, until someone tells them it's a bad idea. And then a lot of people start to back off.
And especially, I think, in this world of social media. So at least back in the day, if you were told something like that, it was to your face and you could have a conversation about it. But now today's keyboard warriors, it's another story altogether. So people can, Mike Tyson says everyone has a plan till they get punched in the face. And
yeah,
right. And I mean, that might sum up what you just talked about with your superpower is, you get punched in the face and keep going.
And I can't argue with you one little bit. Now, another thing, I mean, when you bring up the keyboard warriors too, like, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Absolutely true. And then you hear things like, man, somebody's going to want to jump on and just start detracting from you instantly simply because you're trying something different. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen a post, or your viewers or listeners have, quite similar. The internet in a nutshell. You type out, I like apples. And then somebody comments on it. What about pears? You're anti-pear? Didn't you ever think about pears? It's like, what? It's like, I'm going to start a business. Oh, well, what about those people that just want to work and, be an employee? Do you hate them? What? The fuck are you talking about? Like, it's
all about the money.
Keyboard warrior.
Oh,
absolutely.
You're all about the money.
I know. You're right. You're all about the money. You ever run a business? Fucking takes money.
Most people who run businesses probably would get paid more if they were employees.
Oh, man. Fact.
Yeah. I see it all the time. Posts come up. Business is hard. These are the reasons why. It's like, well, you could just go be an employee. It'd be probably a lot easier.
Sure could.
Now,
clock in at 9, clock out at 5.
That's right. Yeah, and actually, I've done that recently. I owned my own practice for about 15 years, and just a couple of years ago, I sold it, and now I'm just an associate / employee, and it's kind of fun. It definitely has its own challenges, but I'm diving into these other spaces like podcasting and all kinds of other cool stuff that I'm doing, and so I wanted to free up some mental space, so I decided to sell that practice. I love what I do, but just changing it up from a business side of things, and yeah, I'll tell you, it's a lot
And how
easier.
if you did that 5 years sooner, you might have a little more up here.
Well, that's a longer than 5 years ago, man. um, so you said it in your bio that you were voted or something to be most likely to argue with a teacher. Tell me a little bit about that.
Man, I wear that with a badge of honor. I am not a politician in any way, shape, or form. I'll tell you right now, that is the only thing, at least at the top of my mind, that I've ever campaigned for. I mean, you got your senior year, yearbook superlatives. Most likely to be successful. Cutest couple, best eyes, best hair. St. Michael Everville High School had a category most likely to argue the teacher. And
So did you know I was that one that got voted best head of hair?
Interesting.
Jokes. No.
So I was going to make a comment. Maybe you're fighting the system now.
Yeah. Hard. I'm fighting hard. Right. And I'm winning. I really am.
Right?
No.
Sticking it to them.
Sticking it to the man. Questioning authority.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is, right there.
This ball got rolling a long time ago.
But no, back to that. Like, so how did that come about? Is that something? And we'll get into your podcast, Fueled by Spite, in a little while. But it sounds like there's kind of a running theme in your life.
Man, it really, a lot of it comes down to competition. Just 100%. I want to be noticed because I'm the best at something, or at the very least, pretty goddamn good at it. And man, in school, I mean, in the classroom, there's not a whole lot of things to compete over except for grades. Yep. So, I mean, I wasn't a 4.0 student, but I was a good student. And there's no bigger pet peeve of mine, no bigger thorn in my side than one wrong. You get one wrong on a test, one wrong on a quiz. A 98% made my blood boil. I mean, if I'm not going to get 100, give me a 90. But man, 98, let's see if I can find that. Why did I get that one wrong? Why did I get that 2% knocked off? And more often than not, it was legitimate. But I'll tell you what, if I found a loophole, you were going to hear about it.
So has that carried forward into the rest of your life with that? I'll call it perfectionism. If 98 isn't good enough, 100 is the striving. I'll put that in the realm of perfectionism. And it's got its pluses and minuses, right? Is that something that you've adapted to in business life? Because what is perfect in business, right? Like there is no such thing. You don't get 100% in business. I can guarantee if you said you do, you're lying.
I mean, that's the truth. It has served me well. I'll say that much. But there have certainly been times where, man, if I was cool with a 94, 95, 96, 97, 98%, I would have got things done quicker. The perfectionism, the paralysis by analysis, some have coined it. There's been things that I could have done quicker. I could have done better. Hell, I could have given up on. I could have not wasted so much time on if I was better able to just let it go, man. It ain't gonna work out in this instance. But yeah, I'd say it's served me well because it got me to where I am. Just the ability and the want and the drive and the desire to succeed, and to succeed ahead of others. But at the same time, if I could have just taken the L every now and then, that would have served me on a more than one occasion.
Well, like you said earlier, that whole idea of if you had to go back in your life, and that's if I could go back in my life and change anything, I wouldn't. Bullshit. You 100% would, and that might be one of those things. So yeah. you were not only
home ugly bar clothes. Change that.
You're obviously a high achiever in grades, but you're a high achiever in sport too, weren't you?
I attempted to be.
Attempted to be, yes. Yeah. Tell me what, because you were high level sport, but then also became coach. Still, like you take care of a bunch of teams in Dallas now. what kind of lessons have you learned from that side of things? Because, sport really is like a miniature look, or a microscope look at life. And
Oh,
so the things that you can
absolutely.
learn in sport, you can really bring on to your life, to your business life. So, what have you learned there?
And I mean, as cliche as it sounds, it's the teamwork aspect of it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
100%. So my two biggest sports uh, growing up were football and baseball. When I got um, into high school, I didn't make the varsity squad for baseball, and it wrecked me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wrecked me. And a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, why don't you come out try out for rugby?" Like, what's rugby? He's like, it's kind of like football. I was from a small school and I played line or offensive line in football. He's like, difference is it's kind of like football, but you got to carry the ball. Oh, okay, sweet. So I went out for rugby, and man, just absolutely fell in love with it, 100%, and carried that into college. I had zero intent to play rugby in college. I went out for the baseball team, and their dues were like $300 a semester. And I was coming back from class one day and I saw a little poster. Hey, rugby practice is out in front of the Towers dorms, open tryouts, whatever. So I go, and oddly enough, even though I had zero intention of playing rugby, I brought my boots with me to college. I brought my socks with me. I brought my shorts, my short shorts,
Zero
and
intention, though.
went out. Zero, yeah, right.
Sis.
Zero intention, but
But I
just
just took
packed
my
all my
stuff
shit and went
just
out to
in case.
school. And they're like, hey, dues are $40 a semester. I was like, I can afford $40 a semester. So I didn't play baseball in college. I played rugby, and played rugby from the beginning of college all the way through the end of college. Um, Ended up coaching the team, moved out, coached a team in Kansas City after graduation. I mean, it's again, with zero intention of playing rugby, it has become one of the cornerstones of not even my business life, but just my life in general.
And so now you are a team chiropractor for a few teams around Dallas, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Not
And
only a chiropractor, I came down to Dallas. I started a practice, and rugby is how I built my practice. I reached out. The first two teams I reached out to were Fort Worth Men's Club and TCU. Became their chiropractor. I was like, hey, I'll start throwing you some money, because all these teams are club sports. They need money. And then it got to the point now there's I would say a dozen teams in DFW. And in some way, shape, or form, I sponsor every single one of them. I've sponsored national championship contenders with the Euless Texans, national championship winners with the Dallas Reds. If I'm not mistaken, I think they might be the largest club organization in America. I'm currently
wow.
the team chiropractor for the Dallas Jackals, which is our major league rugby squad. Rugby has built my life.
And a few of our mentors always talk about relationships and how
Mm-hmm.
important building relationships are inside of building a business.
Oh,
And so,
100%.
um, how did that process go about? Like, so for somebody listening here as a local business going, I'm looking to build relationships. Like, did you just start by just literally saying, "Here's some money, please, take my money," and then it just grew from there?
Damn near. When I first started, I didn't have any money to give. So I had to
Yes.
get money to give it back.
Yeah.
So like I literally, my wife and I, so it was 2013, and that was just crammed everything into that year. We got married in August of 2013. She graduated her master's program in October of 2013. I graduated chiropractic school in November of 2013. Actually, yesterday was my 10-year anniversary of crossing the Red River and ending up in Texas. So as of today, I've been in Texas for 10 years and a day.
Right.
But when I came
Nice.
down here, set up my practice, and like I said, I went and looked for the rugby teams, and I was like, hey, here's what I'll do. Like I said, I got no money to give. We literally came down here. She had a job waiting for her. I created a job. We had $2,000 to our name. And I went to the rugby teams, like, can't give you anything right now, but I will treat everybody on your roster for free. And if you send me anybody, come in the front door and say, hey, I was sent by Fort Worth Rugby Club. I was sent by Alliance Rugby Club. A fraction of whatever they pay me, I will donate back to your team. Ipso facto, the more people you send me, the more of their money I'll give back to you. So I can't give you anything yet,
Right.
but you tell people about me and I'll pay you for it after they pay me.
I mean, and that's creative, right? And that's really a big side to business these days is just taking a concept and tweaking it just the slightest bit, and it can be life-changing. You know, an old, simple, easy, go into a team and say, listen, I'll take care of the team for free. Or if you're I don't know what else, like in that sort of health space, taking care of people for free is a great place to start when you don't have anything. I don't necessarily recommend that as you get going and things, but it is an option. And, you know, if you do it with integrity, because that's the thing about giving stuff away for free is some people think it's not worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tough one
in
that balance.
The thing that helped me out was the fact that I went to rugby teams as a rugby player. If I went 100%. If I went to a volleyball club, I don't think it would have worked as well. If I went to, I mean, shoot, I'm chubby, so I float. But if I went to a swim club, man,
it might have worked a bit better. Better than volleyball.
Well. I couldn't relate. There'd be no relationship. We'd have no common ground. I went to the rugby clubs because I knew rugby. I could talk the talk and I could walk the walk. They knew that I was sincere.
Yes, and that's the point of building relationships. It's not just to get the business, because again, it's like try and cater to everybody. You cater to nobody. You may as well surround yourself with a bunch of people you're more likely to like, which for you is rugby people. You know, they're a different breed than volleyball people. I 100% say that one. Nothing wrong with volleyball people. I don't know volleyball people. I don't know rugby people, but
see, that's where it's going to happen right now. This is going to get posted, and someone's going to be like, "What do you got against volleyball? How come you're down under? How come you didn't mention netball? What do you got against netball?" Like,
I can't believe you've even heard of netball.
We're screwed.
I hope so. Right. At least, you know, don't they say all attention's good attention? Something like that.
Yeah, right. Any publicity is good publicity. So
that's the word.
Bring on the netballers.
So how did you hear about netball? Like, how is that even a thing? I thought that was...
there is an old clip of the Australian rugby team. That's when I was coaching, I was looking for tips and tricks on coaching the game of rugby, and just, you know, fall down a YouTube hole, and they're like, hey, you know, we want to get some cardio in, but we want to make, you know, practice interesting and dynamic and fun. So I caught a video of, pretty sure it was Australia's national team just playing netball for cardio one day.
Right.
Like, where's the backboard on that hoop? That looks weird.
Why are they not bouncing the ball? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was a thing until I got here, and it is. I think it is actually the biggest sport in Australia. Now, the reason why is it's the biggest women's sport. But for a long time here in Australia, it was kind of the only women's sport. So anybody who was a girl who wanted to play growing up, netball was what you did. Whereas for boys, there was AFL, there was rugby league, there was rugby union, there was cricket. You know, although a scattered few girls would play those sports, it wasn't organized like it is now. So men would kind of spread to a bunch of different sports. Whereas for women, it was kind of netball. So it was, I think it still is the biggest sport in Australia.
Interesting.
There you go for your barstool trivia. Right? Yeah.
It's that old NBC thing. Just need that star shooting across. The more you know.
Yes. And that will be invaluable knowledge you will take with you for the rest of your life.
It will.
Speaking of invaluable knowledge, how did you know to go to Texas? Like, there isn't like all the cool people in Texas now, but you went there 10 years ago. You were well ahead of the
there is a bunch of cool people here, but we got a bunch of Californians coming out, and not to play stereotypes, but just go
now we're really screwed.
Yeah, right.
You're calling out the Californians. We're really screwed now.
To stick the West Coast on us. No, it was oddly enough. So my wife and I, we were in an apartment in Richfield, Minnesota, It was February of 2013. So I got 3 trimesters left before I'm out. And I'm sitting on my desk studying in the living room. My wife is sitting on the fiance at the time. Yeah, fiance at the time, sitting on the couch, and she's watching this show called Bar Rescue. Now, if you're unfamiliar, it's this guy,
I
John
am.
Taffer. He goes into just bars around the country or whatever that are struggling, and goes in, gives them a makeover and a facelift, and yells at them, and makes good TV or whatever. But she's watching Bar Rescue, and it's taking place in, I think it's just outside of Austin, Texas. And at the beginning of every show, he gives a demo on where he's at, and he's like, Austin's got the largest amount of 18 to 35-year-olds, and so this was 2013. We're a bit removed from the housing crash, but people are still kind of struggling a little bit. And he's like, Texas was by and large untouched by the housing crash and the recession. And she just turns and asks me, and she's like, "Hey, when you graduate, where do you want to work?" And she was getting her master's at the time, and I was like, "Man, honestly, wherever." I don't call my wife man. Honey, wherever you can get a job, because I'm going to open up my own place. And she goes, "How about Texas?" And I'm like, "Sure." So how did you guys decide on Texas? It was cold in February in Minnesota, and there's a place on TV that was taking place in Texas. So we said, "How about Texas?"
Because when you said Bar Rescue, I had a whole other picture in my head. I thought, like, is this like rescuing people from bar situations that might have gone over? Like, Bar Rescue could mean a whole lot of different shows there.
Certainly could.
But yeah, I mean, I've been to Dallas once. It was a pretty cool city. Yeah. I quite enjoyed myself. And
bigger than all hell. I'll tell you what. Like, so when we decided Texas, we narrowed it down to DFW, and I was looking at it on a computer screen. And if you've been here, it's huge. If you haven't, it ain't.
Right.
And so I went on, and I decided I was going to buy a practice. And so I searched Fort Worth chiropractor, Dallas chiropractor, Arlington chiropractor, and we decided on the north half of the Metroplex. And any little red dot that popped up on Google Maps, I sent them a handwritten letter. I sent out 426 handwritten letters and said, "Hey, I'm going to graduate in about 9 months. I'm going to look to buy a practice. If you're going to retire or you want to sell, let me know." And so from those letters that I mailed each one out individually, a little stamp on them and everything, I was able to set up 30 appointments. And then I flew down here that September. So we decided in February. I flew down here in September, set up 30 appointments, and came down here, realized how big the place was.
Right.
Canceled half of them.
You're like, I don't want to be
my wife had a job waiting for her, and interviewed 15, settled on one. Here I am.
Nice. I mean, it's a great way to do it. Whether or not I don't think you necessarily need to do the handwritten letters, but it's a nice touch. It's more likely to be opened, and in today's world of overstimulation, when you get a handwritten letter, you're probably going to open it. You probably when you get one of those in practice, you kind of go, "Uh-oh, what's this? What's this? This is important."
Yeah.
And then you open it up and you go, "Oh, sweet."
I've gotten to the point now. I check the return address. Like, is it an attorney? Because if it's an attorney, I do PI. There might be a check in there.
Right. But what about the ones that don't have return addresses?
Yeah,
that you can't check. Delegate. That's one of the most important business practices, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What I'm learning though is trying to, at least I'll talk for myself, trying to learn it well first, then delegate. As opposed to, I don't know what that is, I don't know how it works, I'm just going to delegate, because then you can't track that performance. You can't know that it's being done well or poorly if you don't know how to do it first.
That's true.
I think I've fallen into the trap of doing that, just delegating out, because I don't understand it, and I've definitely got burned from it. So if you're looking
Yep.
to do
And
that,
more often than not, that fire is expensive.
very much so,
Right.
absolutely expensive in many ways, time,
Uh-huh.
money, mental health, everything. Um, which leads me to, another question is, I think generally people show you who they are, whatever they say, they just
Hmm.
may not tell you, but they will show you who they are, and they do that through their actions, of course. And what you
True.
do in one realm of your life, you will typically do in all realms of your life to some degree.
Yep.
Do you have any routines that work for you, like that you are quote unquote religious about, that set you up for other areas in your life? For example, like a movement routine. Do you do something regularly or every day, or a breath routine, or anything along those lines that sets you up well?
It's really, I've said this for a long time, and I can't take credit for it because I don't think I came up with it on my own. But I've certainly co-opted it, and it's, there's always more time in the morning. Don't let the sun catch you sleeping. So one thing that I have become, as a business owner and as just a functioning, successful adult, is a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of stuff that I can get done before the sun actually rises, I would put up against damn near anybody. I work out every morning. I go through affirmations every morning. And it sounds, shoot, if you talked to me 15 years ago and told me that, yeah, you're going to say affirmations every morning, you're going to tell yourself how great you are, I'd have been like, well, why would I need to tell myself how great I am? I know how great I am. But then going back to how we started this whole thing, especially with the advent of social media, there's plenty of people who will be able to tell you, or at least have the opportunity to tell you, how great they don't think you are. So the more often that you can remind yourself, the better it's going to stick. And part of being great comes from not only a mental health aspect, but a physical health aspect. If you feel like shit, you're going to think like shit. So
100%.
I can say all the, happy, fluffy, sparkly stuff to myself all day long. But man, if I don't take care of my physical body, if it still hurts to bend over and tie my shoes, I don't
Yeah, I
think all the
mean,
words in the world are going to help me.
that's right. It doesn't build confidence, and
Nope.
being fit or strong or whatever that means for you builds strength of mind and builds a
Yep.
fortitude that, like, being uncomfortable. I think that's a huge one these days. Is people are
Mm-hmm.
afraid to be uncomfortable. And
Absolutely.
again, if it's in one area, it's in all areas. If there's anything entrepreneurs tend to be relatively okay with, is being uncomfortable. And the
Can't argue with you.
I think it was I don't know, could have been Tony Robbins or some cool dude. It said something about, the level of uncertainty that you're comfortable with will determine how you live your life.
I would buy that.
So if you're building up this fortitude, you've mentioned that your kids are building their, what are they, their thrones, their entrepreneurial thrones, you
Right.
mentioned. Um, tell me a little bit about that. How old are they, first of all?
I got Frankie Claire. She is 6. She'll be 7 in January. And I got Calvin Michael. He just turned 5 this last September here.
And so tell me about how you navigate that with kids, because, even as adults, we fall into those traps and we read this negative, if you're putting yourself out there, you're going to get negativity no matter what. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you get the positivity, there is the negatives. And if for every 100
Yep.
positives, if we hear one negative, we remember the negative more than the positive. So how are you navigating that as a parent who, with such young
Yeah.
kids?
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to a couple things we were talking about already. Like, I put my kids online. I just, because one, I mean, my daughter's beautiful. My son is handsome as all hell. They're extremely photogenic. But then what are you going to do? Some people, I would never post my kids online. Whatever. That's why they're not your kids. But going back to what we were talking about before, like, it's, man, you just, my superhero power of not listening to other people. is really coming in handy here. So, because I mean, I'm raising my kids to literally just be awesome people. And it's again, it sounds cliche and it sounds stupid, things like that. But man, it's just, if you raise them to be good people, they're going to turn out to be good people. I did an episode on a podcast earlier, one of my own. Honestly, I don't understand how people are bad parents. I don't get it. Like, now, don't get me wrong. It's not the easiest job in the world by any stretch of the imagination. This podcast here between you and I came at a wonderful time because it's Thanksgiving weekend. So we have a 4-day break here. School's closed and daycare's closed. So we've had 4 solid straight days of, a 5 and a 6-year-old running around. We're trying to decorate for Christmas, and they're seeing all the stuff they haven't seen in the last 360 days. And so I'm like, sorry, honey, I got a podcast to film. Good luck. I'll be back. But
do you have good insulated walls where you are there now?
we do. We've got a good amount of space between us and the neighbors. But
Nice.
Again, it's how do you handle the parenting landscape? Man, you got to go with your gut. I mean, you really do. And if you're a good person at heart, you're gonna raise good people. And again, I've only got 2 kids to, I don't have a large sample size, but so far I've kept 2 kids alive for 6 years and they're fucking awesome.
I mean, I was saying earlier that I've done some other podcasts in the past, and one of them was called the Wake Up Dad Show. So it was literally all about dadhood and parenthood and that type of thing. And when it comes to kids, really, I think the biggest thing they need to know is that they're accepted and loved. That's the bottom line, right? And so through, there's many different ways to do it. I'm not an advocate one way or the other around put your kids online or not, or whatever the case might be, but I get both sides to it. And as long as you're teaching them values along the way, and when something negative comes up, because that's life, whether it's social media or not, it's just, again, a microcosm of the biggest world, the bigger world, is that you're there as a parent to show them what that means and to provide a perspective that they don't know because they're young. They haven't had that perspective before. So cool. I love it.
I mean, and I'll tell you right off the bat, my daughter, man, she's 6, gonna be 7, and she's got more emotions in her tiny body than I've experienced in my 40 years on this earth. And man, when she starts to get weepy, and it's like, honey, dad only knows how to deal with happy, mad, sad, and this is way more than sad. So, but then my son, that kid is a no limit soldier. I mean, I heard somewhere along the lines where you might not have a favorite kid, but you got an easy kid. And my son ain't the easy kid. He's the one that's going to keep us up at night. He's going to break curfew the first chance he gets. I'll tell you that right now. And I don't mean to put it out there in the universe, but shit, it's going to happen. If someone comes home with a police officer in tow, it's going to be Calvin Michael Taylor.
Well, I've only got 1 kid, so I can't say this at all, but I feel like, without a doubt, if you're a parent to more than 1 kid, you got a favorite, and that's okay. I don't believe, again, bullshit that you love every kid exactly the same. It's like, no, they all have their differences, but there's guaranteed you got a favorite kid. 100%. Again, I can't even speak out of actual knowledge because I've only got 1 kid, but
yep. So you're pissing off every multi-family or multi-child house on there. So we're pissed off a lot of people today, man.
I'm loving it. That's great. The shorts that come out of this one are going to be fantastic.
Right. Let's keep a tally. So we got people with more than 1 kid. Netballers, volleyball players, people who like pears.
Californians.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's add Texas. I meant to say this earlier. Why is everything so big? Like, not only the town, but oh my God, like I could fit 3 of my cars in one of your cars. Like the trucks, the cars, they're just so big. Everything is big. Dude,
there. I swear to God, like I said, when I came down here 10 years ago, I drove down, I packed up a U-Haul and pointed it south. And I swear, and I will hold this to this day until I get actually like legitimate, numerical evidence. I even think the lanes of traffic here, I think there's like an extra 3 or 4 inches on either side. It seems like even the lanes on the road are just a hair bigger. And it would not surprise me if there's truth to that. And it was done on purpose just so Texas can be like, yep,
Grow
everything's
into
bigger.
it. Grow into
Even
it.
our lane.
Yes, I wouldn't doubt it because I don't think those trucks would fit on our lanes here. Although there is a big move here in Texas. There's a big move here in Australia for the big trucks too, man. You guys are influencing us too much.
Yeah, fair.
So tell me about your podcast. I think as we get into it, it's probably what you've already told me. With your superpower, not giving a shit, basically.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about it with this whole idea of fueled by spite. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it came out of, from what I perceive is a vacuum in the entrepreneurial and self-development space. I'm black and white. I'm A or B. I don't deal in a whole lot of gray area. And anyone who's an entrepreneur, I think it's a pretty safe bet that you get into some kind of headspace stuff, some sort of positivity, some sort of self-development, which is awesome. But it seems like there's a lot, at least from what I've taken in, that ignore the gritty truth. And part of it, like, it comes back from my want to compete. If there's a competition, there's got to be a loser. There's got to be someone who was beat, right? And I mean, maybe it's the time we're living or whatever, but it seemed like I wasn't allowed to tout my own successes if it meant that somebody had to lose. And it's like, well, maybe you didn't lose. Maybe you just didn't do as good as me. Or, hey, the whole, don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to how you were yesterday. No. I already know I'm better than I was yesterday, but that guy over there or that woman over there, that chiropractic office where she's seeing 300 people a week and I'm only seeing 200. No, I want to compete with her. That guy over there who's collecting $1 million and I'm only at 750. I want to compete with that guy because I know I can be better than myself. I know myself really well, but I want to figure out what that person's doing. And I want to do it better because they got something I want. They've got a level of success or a level of experience that I haven't achieved. And if I only compete with myself, I only know what I know. So if I'm going to find myself in a situation where I need to grow, I want to find someone who's grown to a place I want to be in. And I just kind of want to beat them at their own game. So that
they might not even know, hey? They might not even know there's a competition.
I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, there's a future episode coming of Fueled by Spite called Who the Hell is Dylan? And Dylan doesn't, to the best of my knowledge, Dylan doesn't know I exist. But I know who Dylan was when I was starting practice because he was a lot more visualized than I was. I saw him more places than I saw me. So I set out to beat Dylan. I tell you right now, I did. And I don't think he ever knew that I was gunning for him.
Nice. That's perfect because...
Sorry, Dylan.
Because in reality, it's a good way to do it because basically it's setting goals, really. Because although, yes, you're looking to the outside to create that competition and beat this person, but they don't even know. So it's okay. But for yourself, you're able to do it. So brings me back to winners and losers. And the fact that there's winners and losers every single day. And there should be. And what we're doing right now...
There should be.
There should be. Should be.
There has to be.
Yes, there has to be. And it's okay either way, really, because, well, with the stipulation that if you learn from losing, right? If you just keep losing, you keep being a loser.
Then you're a fucking loser.
Yeah. And in reality...
The world needs ditch diggers.
That's right. 100%. And if you're happy, that's the other side to it. But
Mm-hmm.
that digress on the happiness side, because that's a whole cool thing that we might talk about. But winners and losers, what do you think of the whole everyone gets a ribbon thing?
No, 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 no.
100%.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. Again, I did an episode of Fueled by Spite with a fighter. His name is Evan Cutts. He wants to have 40 fights before he's 40. He just turned 33. And I asked him, what drives him. So I mean, he's an MMA fighter. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And even just thinking, he gave me one of the best answers that I could have even hoped for the question. I'm like, what drives you? What keeps you going? And he looks at me and goes, evidence. It's like, wow, what an answer.
Yeah.
It's like, because I got beat, so I had to go back to the drawing board and try again. And then I beat that person, or I beat another person. I got some evidence. He goes, back to your question, without winners and losers, there wouldn't be evidence. With participation trophies, there's no evidence. Because in the real world, in business, whether you're clocking in, clocking out, or starting something yourself, man, you are going to lose.
Well, 100%. And
yeah,
it's kind of like baseball. Like you're an old baseball player. Like a 300 batting average is phenomenal. That means you strike out 70% of the time.
yeah,
Right? Like, and that's amazing. If you could be
7
hitting
out of 10
300 in
times you
business,
fail.
woo, yeah. Everyone's got a plan till the punch in the face.
Yep.
It's like, then what you plan is the key.
Uh-huh.
So what's about, how long is the Fueled by Spite podcast been going?
Well, I mean, I started it, then I got punched in the face. We're approaching 50 episodes. I recorded my first episode last year. Didn't publish it right away, but I recorded a small handful of episodes. And then my office here, so I own the building I'm in. I've got a tenant next door who's a dentist. He burst a pipe. And he burst a pipe the day after Christmas. And no shit, it was Christmas Day. He burst a pipe Christmas Day. So I had a handful of episodes of Fueled by Spite recorded, sitting at home. Christmas breakfast was out of the way, and he gives me a call. He's like, we got water. And it flooded the whole entire space. And this whole thing had to be remodeled. His space, my space, carpet was torn up, walls were torn out. So I had this whole thing rolling, this whole thing being Fueled by Spite. I had all these episodes ready to go. And then I got punched in the face because the actual way that I make a living through chiropractic, that was taken from me. Mm-hmm. So I had to, and not only that, I was a brand new landlord. So my tenant's livelihood was taken from him too. So I had to get this whole thing put back together. But what I did is I was actually, if you go back to the first few episodes, they're recorded on my phone. Like I recorded some pretty ones. And then after that, when everything got torn out, I recorded episodes on my phone. You look behind me and there's drywall missing. There's no carpet. Like, hey, nice. I can't conduct business. I've got some free time. Let's record some more episodes. So I got punched in the face, and I, like you said, I went with a plan B. I got some free time. Let's do some more of this stuff.
It's such a big lesson to learn in not only business and entrepreneurship, but life is you're gonna get punched in the face, and how do you deal with it? Like, what is plan B, C, D, E, and F? Because shit happens, and how do we move forward?
I mean, not only you punch in the face, you can punch in the face with punches you've never seen. Like, I've had slow days in the office or something like that, or I've had, maybe some, patient payments that, haven't gone through. And, it's part of doing business. You understand that. I became a landlord, and then the fucking building flooded. It's like if all I've ever done is taken jabs, and then someone sneaks an uppercut on me. What the hell was that? Where did that come from?
You wake up in the hospital an hour later. What?
Yep. All your friends standing over you. What happened?
Yeah. Love it. So everybody who's listening, check out that Fueled by Spite podcast. Basically on all the regulars.
Yep.
Yeah, wherever you find it, Fuel by Spike, check it out. So, quick little hit list of some questions now for the listeners to
Yeah.
hopefully get something like, what is your favorite book or book you're listening to or reading right now?
Fair. It's behind me. Oh, sweet. Yep. So this right here, The Road Less Stupid, is fantastic.
Awesome.
It is.
I've not heard of that.
Oh man, it's a great read because I mean the chapters are like 2 and 3 pages. Here's just as an idea. So there's all the stuff that's been bookmarked. But that's what I'm going through right now. It's almost like a success manual. And then another one that was given to me by a colleague, Molly Spahn. Molly Spahn, she's a chiropractor out in one of the Carolinas. It's called The Wealthy Gardener.
That one.
Just wealth. It's written by a chiropractor, but just it's not a chiropractic book. It's a finance book. It's a wealth book. But it reads like a storybook, and the lessons in there. That is one of the few books I've read more than 3 times. Because I'll read a book once for sure. I'll go back and go through it again if it's good. That's the only one I've ever read 3 times, and it's a fantastic read.
Awesome. Yeah. I think I've heard of that second one. Never heard of the first one. Love the title of that first one.
Right.
Yeah.
And all reality is, it was the title that got me too. I was at a conference, and just, your ear picks up whatever it picks up from time to time, and heard somebody say, yeah, I'm reading this book called A Road Less Stupid. And it's like, all right, title alone, I'm in. Hopped on Amazon, bought it right there. It's literally sight unseen. I just heard someone behind me talk about it.
Less stupid is good. Less stupid is good.
Right? We can minimize the stupid. I'm in.
But don't even worry about being smart. Just be less stupid.
Yeah. Just minimize the stupid.
Any seminars that you absolutely love? And this is not, again, nothing to do necessarily with chiropractic, but it could be a chiropractic seminar because there's so many integrations these days. I
mean, man, I have really grown to love the stuff that's coming out of Black Diamond Club with Sean Dill and Lacey Book. Like I said, yesterday was my 10-year anniversary of being in Texas. I still run a damn good chiropractic practice. I mean, it's, if I do say so myself, according to a survey I made up right now, probably the best one out there.
You beat Dylan.
Yeah, right? Suck it, Dylan. But I kept my head down. And I focused within the 4 walls of my office for a decade, and I built something awesome. But man, talking with, the people at Black Diamond, I bet I could have got it done a lot quicker if I, at the very minimum, applied some of their strategies on relationship building. Hell, what we were talking about before. Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of this on my own, more or less, certainly just support system around me, but I could have gotten to where I am a lot quicker if, again, I took some of their philosophy and applied it sooner rather than later.
100%. Lessons, relationships, and finding people who've done or have achieved what you want to achieve. To lessen that road is definitely an absolute key. You don't have to. You didn't. But, man, it's easier.
Yeah. Once again, you go back and change anything, would you? No, you liar.
Yeah, total liar. I would have bought Bitcoin in 2003.
Right.
I think it was 20,000 Bitcoin bought a pizza. Now 20,000 Bitcoin can buy the world right. 3 times over, something like that.
Yeah. And now, it might be the same story or a very similar one. The thumb drive that has that Bitcoin on it is lost in a landfill somewhere.
Absolutely. Gone forever.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on the show, man. This has been a very, very fun, educational, great to have you on board. Guys, check out the Fuel by Spike podcast. Do you have, I know you do, a joke to end things off?
Okay, no, I got, so again, chiropractor, I got people coming here from the youngest to the oldest, and you gotta have something that'll fit everybody, as much as we talk about how there's nothing out there for everybody. To the best of my knowledge, this joke only offends two very small groups of people. What's the difference between a bad golfer and a bad skydiver?
Dunno.
Did I lose you?
No. I'm here.
Oh, okay. You got me. There's a give and take. What's the difference between a bad golfer and a bad?
Sorry, I said I don't know.
Oh, okay. So, just for editing purposes, what's the difference between a bad golfer and a bad skydiver? Bad golfer goes whack, damn it, and bad skydiver goes damn it, whack.
Damn it, whack. and who does that offend? So that we can
Golfers
make sure to get that in.
or at least
Golfers and skydivers. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
A small subset: bad golfers and bad skydivers. Good golfers and good skydivers, they probably don't care about that joke.
Well, the bad skydivers aren't with us, and the
probably
bad that one's okay. And the bad golfers, I'm on that track, and I'm not offended, so that's all good. Awesome. All right, guys. Yes, thank you so much for being on here. Check out his podcast, and we'll talk to you soon, guys.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. And